Hi, I'm Darla. I want to tell you my strange love story. It all started with Jake. Jake and I fought a lot. Not all the time. When things were good, they were great. But Jake's the type of person who always pushes back. He's very opinionated, and so am I. That's probably why we gave each other such a hard time. Most of it was over small, stupid stuff. Like we'd spend a lot of time arguing over what to watch on TV. I wanted to watch my favorite show, Grey's Anatomy. He always wanted to watch football. He was obsessed with the Green Bay Packers and refused to watch anything else. By the way, if there's anything I hate, it's being told no. Jake and I rarely agreed on what to eat, even. I love seafood. He hated it. He just didn't get it. Obviously, Jake got on my nerves. We had some good times, but he always had to put up an argument about everything, or a counter-argument, and I was sick of hearing it. So Jake and I broke up. A few months later, I developed a massive crush on this other guy, Aaron. I met him online. He was perfect. Aaron was tall, successful, smart, and super kind. I mean, he'd volunteer at soup kitchens and tutored kids in his spare time. How hot is that? I was lucky enough to go on a date with him. Aaron was super athletic, but he wasn't crazy into sports, which was a huge relief. I asked him what he thought of the Green Bay Packers. He shrugged and said, "They're all right." Honestly, I probably fell in love with him right on the spot. I also learned that he was close with his mom, which is great. But at the same time, he lived his own life and didn't seem like a mama's boy, which was even better. Aaron was the perfect guy. I was shocked to discover that he'd been single for a while, but maybe I shouldn't be. He was so perfect, he was probably unattainable. And turns out he was. That's how I felt anyway. He didn't call me back after our first date. I reached out to him to try to see him again, but he said he was too busy with work. Usually I'd move on. This guy was so incredible. And one thing about me is, the more I feel like I can't have something, the more I want it. I couldn't stop thinking about him. I talk about him all the time whenever I visited my mom at work. I'm close with my mom too, even though she drives me up the wall sometimes. Interesting fact about my mom. She's a 7th generation apothecary. Back in the day, apothecaries would mix all sorts of compounds to create remedies and elixirs. But these days, being an apothecary mostly means selling scented candles to hipsters. Anyway, I'd keep talking my mom's ear off about Aaron. Mom would say, "Enough already. You only went on one date." I'd tell her, "There could still be more dates. You don't know that?" And Mom rolled her eyes. "Yeah, right. Maybe I could use something to entice Aaron." When it came to dating, I'd heard all about the importance of scents and pheromones from my mom. So I asked her if she had a special fragrance or something that he might find irresistible. That's when my mom got real quiet and serious. She made a ton of great sense, sure, but she said she had something even stronger than a fragrance. Something that would make a person lose themselves and become completely devoted to you. She called it number 9. Like love potion? I laughed, but Mom wasn't laughing. She showed it to me and warned me that this was powerful stuff, and started giving me some spiel about, "With great power comes great responsibility, blah, 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 blah." Whatever, I'm not Spider-Man. I wanted the strongest stuff she had, so I took it. I went to go surprise Aaron outside his office. Aaron ran a super successful sales business, and I remembered the name of his company. I sprayed on Mom's number 9 and waited for him outside at about 5 o'clock when I knew he'd be done. When I saw him, I pretended like I was coincidentally running into him. Yes, I know I was sort of stalking him. Please, like you've never done that kind of thing before. He must have taken a whiff of the number 9 because he was completely different. He was so happy to see me. He couldn't stop looking at me and smiling. It was as if he had, well, instantly fallen in love with me. He told me he wanted to take me out. I said, "When?" He said, "Right now." And guess where he took me? Hawaii. He got on the phone right away and called his company to tell them he wasn't coming in tomorrow, and he booked us 2 tickets to Maui. He asked me if I wanted to fly first class, and I said, "Sure." So he upgraded us to first class, and we spent the whole week in paradise. Aaron was amazing, and he catered to my every whim. I was so excited, I called my mom to tell her what happened. This number 9 stuff was awesome, but Mom seemed more nervous than excited. She told me to be careful and spewed some mumbo-jumbo about how it was a potent hypnotic. Whatever. All I knew was this perfect, unattainable guy was now putty in my hands. Why didn't Mom tell me about this stuff sooner? When we came back, the pampering continued. Aaron would leave work to come see me at the drop of a hat. All I needed to say was when. And he'd eat whatever I wanted. He'd even do the cooking for me. He took me wherever I wanted to go and bought me all sorts of things. Aaron had been unbelievably generous, so I wanted to get him a gift. But I had no idea what he liked. I agonized over this for a while, and I noticed he didn't have any watches. So, after doing a ton of research, I spent a pretty penny on a top-of-the-line Mont Blanc watch. I was so excited to give it to him. But when I surprised him with it, he said he couldn't accept such an extravagant gift. "You can't spend this much money on me," he said. I told him that since he's always doing so much for me, I wanted to show my appreciation. But he refused the gift and made me return it. "I'd take care of you, not the other way around," he said. I was disappointed, but he was so insistent, I gave in. I asked him what he wanted to eat for dinner, and he said, "Whatever you want, my darling." We were eating my favorite seafood every night. Surely he must have been sick of it, but he swore he wasn't. The least I could do was let him pick what we'd eat for a change, but he kept deferring to me. I was starting to get frustrated. It reminded me of the arguments I used to have with Jake about what to eat. Except Jake would annoy me because he kept asserting what he wanted. Whereas with Aaron, it was all about what I wanted. I never thought that would annoy me so much. "But what about what you want?" I said. I wish he'd tell me what he wanted. Since Aaron was at my constant beck and call, I didn't know what he liked to eat. I didn't know what kind of watches he wore or if he even liked watches. That's when I realized that I didn't really know Aaron very well at all. And for that reason, I didn't feel as close to Aaron as I wanted to. So I started inviting him to come with me whenever I visited my mom's shop. I figured maybe I'd feel closer to him if he and my mom got along. But that sort of backfired, because he and my mom got along a little too well. In fact, he started calling her Mom. It got kind of annoying. I told him he was becoming a bit of a mama's boy, but he told me he loved me so much. That's why he loved my mom, too. That's when it hit me. I didn't feel the same way about him. Not even close. Things got even worse. Aaron had been spending so much time away from work that his profits fell. Not only that, he'd become way too agreeable and kept overextending himself to make others happy. This did not make him a very good negotiator or salesman, and eventually he lost his business. After his company went under, Aaron couldn't buy me nice things anymore, but he kept wanting to. I liked that he was successful, but that's not why I wanted to be with him in the first place. I'd beg him to stop buying me things and to save his money, but he kept on giving. It was starting to get ridiculous. So I told him I couldn't take it anymore and that we should take a break. He was devastated. He started crying and literally dropped to his knees, begging me to take him back. "Please, I can't live without you," he said. I told him that not being together was in his best interest too, and I meant it. But he wouldn't have it. I felt bad about this, but I'd never been less attracted to someone than in that moment. So I told him I was sorry, and I left. I went to see my mom. Whatever it was that this number 9 stuff had done to Aaron, I desperately wanted her to fix it. "Do you have any kind of antidote? Something that'll make him not completely give himself over to me like he's been doing?" Mom said, "Even if it means he won't love you anymore?" I told her, "I don't care. I don't love him. I'm not sure I even like him. I'd much rather be alone than be with Aaron. Frankly, I'd rather be back with Jake. Jake was a pain in the butt, but whenever I did something nice for him, he accepted it. Jake had his own opinions and preferences, and he looked out for himself. I never had to worry about that. Somehow that made him easier to be with. At least he was a real person. And I wanted to be with a person, not a puppet." Then Mom got serious again. "Good," she said, "as long as you learned your lesson." I was confused. "What lesson?" I said. Mom said, "Without conflict, there is no triumph." I thought about this for a while. This whole time, I thought true love was all about completely giving yourself over to someone else. That's what I thought was missing with Jake. And it's definitely important to give of yourself, but not all of yourself. Then Mom just smiled to herself. Don't worry, the potion will wear off soon. And she was right. Ever since I dumped him, Aaron had been blowing up my phone, but he called me less and less until he stopped. I ran into Aaron about a year later. He seemed to be back to normal. He told me he'd revived his business and that things were going well for him. And it showed. Because he looked good. He seemed cool and confident, just like I remembered him on our first date. And I thought, now that he's his true self, maybe things could work out between us. So I made a bold move and asked if he was interested in getting together sometime to catch up some more. He told me he'd started seeing someone, so he politely declined. Dang it! I hate being told no. Would you use a love potion on anyone? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden wisdom stories. Remember, when you share our stories, you're sharing wisdom.